Hello, Flosstube. Elizabeth Martinez, phantastitches here with my Flosstube update number 367. Today is Saturday, January 4th, 2025. So, starting the new year with some, a new start and, ongoing whips. Last year, last week, I did a whip parade and a new start parade, showing all the things I am going to be working on in this new year, 2025. I'm doing the 25 and 25 new starts for 2025. And I'll have one of those going. I should say I did one new start for one day, New Year's Day. And I'm hoping maybe I can spend some more time doing that after I meet my other goals for this week. But anyway, this month. But anyway, so this is probably going to be a shorter video because I don't really have a whole lot to talk about, I don't think. But so, to finish out last year, I was working on 7 days worth of the Raccoon from Cottage Garden Samplings, A Year in the Woods series. And I had talked about how, this little frond of this flower, I had gotten it off one stitch in the green part of this flower because I was impatient and I didn't go and look for this thread, and so for now I'm not frogging this, and I'm just gonna fudge it, just leave it where it is, because everything else seems to be okay with the rest of it. So I worked on it a little more. So oopsie, I think I had this wrong. Yes, I do. Okay, this way. So like I said, when I started, I had done just this little pink cornerish flower and this little thing, and so when I went to stitch it, I started with this green frond, and I had not found this brownish color yet, and so when I was counting it, I counted it wrong. But when I started the raccoon's body, I counted off of this flower, which I'm assuming is correct. And so last week I had done like just the upper part of the body. But so I finished this darker color as much as I could on the back of his body down to where his tail starts. So there's more of that dark color as you go down the tail. This design here, it alternates between the dark color and the gray color, and then there's some background shades in between. This sort of brownish color in between and a grayish color. But so for now, I did just the pattern of this darker color. And I started to do the tail here, and I was gonna go, I had in looking at it, whenever I'm working on design, I sit there and plan out, let's say I'm gonna go down here, and then I'm gonna go across here, then I'm gonna go to it, whatever. So that I have a consistent plan, and I can make the most of whatever I'm, the thread. So I had debated when I was looking at it, like, okay, I'm going to go down here, and when I hit this thread, this little square here, I'm going to go across and then come back and then continue on, That was my plan, and then I promptly forgot what I was doing, and I got all excited, like, oh, I'm just gonna make the tail, and so I started to go down here, and then I realized, oh yeah, I got to the end of the thread right here, and I realized, oh yeah, I was gonna put this in there, so I went ahead and put this in, and I came over here, and then continued on up to this is the delineation of his back leg here. So so I went ahead and did that, and my goal was to do 7 days on this, and oopsie, now I'm all unfolded here. So I hit 7 days, somewhere around in here. But I wanted to just go ahead and finish this little section. So technically, I went, because I was thinking, oh, once midnight hits, I can start my new start, and and because I'd spent a lot of time like looking at the fabrics that I had, and determining what if I had something appropriate for either of my 2 new starts, and what I was going to do. So I had already decided that I'm probably going to dye fabric for the Dust of Snow new start, one of my Jingle Ball purchases that I talked about last week. So I'm probably going to dye some fabric for that. But I was looking to see if I had something appropriate for my other new start. Anyway, so I spent all that time, and I was figuring all that out. And so I was thinking, oh, right at midnight, let's start my New Year, new start thing. But then, but I was not quite finished with this little haunch. And so I went ahead past midnight and, did a little bit more to finish it. But anyway, so that's the raccoon, and there's the ferret. But I wanted to at least get to the raccoon's body. I didn't quite get to his face, which is, this is, oops, there's a thread there. This is part of his ear. His ear goes right there. This is like behind his ear. But so this is one ear, and the other ear goes over here somewhere. But yeah, so I wanted to get to his face, but I didn't quite. I went to find his tail instead. So anyway, that's 7 days on the raccoon, and that is the end of my WIPGO. I did a sort of I guess you would call it a blackout, because I hit all the goals for my WIPGO 2024. I haven't gone on the computer to change this to the blue, but I hit that goal at 7 days, so I hit all my goals. And this one is this purple color, which according to my little key down here is not called but completed, and that's because I used this this chart for it's Mouse's Christmas decorating. It's a I want to say Tiny Modernist chart, but I did it for cross stitch camp. I think for that month, so that's why I finished it early. Yeah. Anyway, so it was originally one of my WIPGO calls, but I just used it anyway. So, but this should be the same blue color because I did hit the goal. So I hit a blackout for my 2024 WIPGO. So then my for 2025, one of my 25 new starts was a Teresa Kogut design it was a freebie for the Jingle Ball. I think a Jingle Ball exclusive, but a freebie. Because I think all or most of the designers for the Jingle Ball had like a free pattern, as well as some Jingle Ball exclusives. So so this is one of the free patterns that I downloaded, Our Favorite Elf, and it's one of Teresa Kogut's just adorable Santas. There's a little sheep on a string there, rope, whatever. I guess it's I don't know. Anyway, so this was one that I chose for one of my new starts. So it had come up. The WIPGO numbers for January of 25 are 11 and 20. So that's that's number 11. And so I did just the one day on the first. I worked on Santa's hat there. And there's another color that goes right here in this little fold, and then of course the white little bally on his hat, and you know, I wanted to do white, like to get started on his face and his beard and the little bally, but so I did just like I said, till I got to the end of this hat, the red in his hat on New Year's Day. We had a New Year's Day brunch at my sister-in-law's house. So I stitched, I think, in the morning, and then we went to the brunch like in the middle of the day, and then I stitched. So I don't remember if I did all of this. I don't know that I did it in the early morning, like after midnight. I might have done it. But then when we came back for the brunch, I don't think I worked on this anymore. I think I just did this part. So I may get back to that if I have some more, and I think I'll probably have some more time, we'll see. But so this is 25 count Lugana that I got at Hobby Lobby once upon a time. And I went ahead and used this. I had used the cross stitch calculator because I was assuming that I would probably use either 28 or 32 count fabric to do this. But I, when I was, looked through all my fabrics and stuff, I came across this 25 count Lugana. And because I had a couple of pieces in this color and a couple of pieces in like an off-white, like pearl. It's kind of a whitish, grayish color. But so I thought, it could work. So I used my trusty calculator. It's the Yarn Tree cross stitch calculator, which I find very easy to use. But so it should fit here. I plugged it in and everything else. So it should fit here very nicely. So like I said, I want to get back to it and like maybe work on his face, and we'll see. So that's one of my new starts in 2025. Like I said, I hope to do more. And then the other call for number 11 is this Owl Trio. It's a Dimensions kit. Jennifer Nilsson is the designer for that. And my goal for this one is actually to finish it, because all the stitching that I had left to do was just this border, and it's actually, I think I had like not quite finished this across the top. I think I had done a little bit of the beginning, and so I finished it across the top, and then I realized, oh yeah, there's this. I had not done, when I was stitching it, I had not done the outer single line of this. I had done it without that outer line. I had was getting the in between stitches, and so I had to. So after I went here, I had to go around again to get that last outer black line. And then these little, you know, these little blocks here are white stitches. So I had to go around again to finish the white stitches. And because I'm using the you know, kit threads that it came with, they're already, you know, pre-cut lengths. And so, you know, I had to, you know, do the white things. And so, like, I had one square left. You know, I had to start a new thread to do the one square. So I had some, you know, that length of white left. And I realized that, oh yeah, there's like a billion little French knots on this. Their eyes, they all have a white French knot in the middle of their eyes. And then this owl has a whole bunch of white French knots, you know, in the feathers. And then this one has the black French knots. And I'm using colonial knots, as I always do, because I'm more able to be more consistent with them for whatever reason. But anyway, but this has a lot of back stitching. All the details in the owls are back stitched, and this one here, you know, on his little talons, like they're very segmented, and there's the, you know, back stitching around each little segment. So I thought I was very close to finishing it, but you know, so I started actually on New Year's Day in the evening, and I stitched a little bit, you know, every day. So I finished the border, both the black and the white parts of the border, they're finished. So now I'm just doing back stitching, and like I did a little bit of the French knots here to finish those, the colonial knots, to finish the white threads that I had. But then I realized, you know, they're all at the end of a black back stitch line, you know, in the feather here, and I want to do the back stitch lines first before I do the knots. And so so I started doing that. I've gotten finished this leaf. And then right now I just started right here on this owl. And see, like this one, I did the eyes, and then I did, you know, this just to finish the thread. But all of these, you know, there's back stitch lines, you know, in all of these feathers. So I want to go ahead and finish all of those to, you know, get it consistent, and then I can put the rest of the French knots in there. But so, excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Hold on one second. Sorry. But so, yeah, I want to do all of the back stitching, or as much of it on this one's body and here too, so that I can, you know, before I try to do the colonial knots or whatever. But so right now I'm working on this little bird here. I just started his I don't know, his ear. Owls have ears. His tuft, whatever. But yeah, so I'm working my way around around his eye. So I don't know what that is. Maybe a cat snag. I don't know what. That uneven little burble there on his. Anyway. So I'm almost finished with it. I mean, you may take me, you know, the whole. I want to go ahead and finish it. My goal is to finish it. And I've got, you know, the rest of the month of January to get to my other WIPGO calls, and that is that Dust of Snow is my new start. I talked about last week, and the Black Cat Season Good Luck chart. That's already started. It's my number 20 whip. So yeah, that is my. Those are my WIPGO goals for this month. And I just want to talk briefly about the fact that I bobbinate threads, right? Especially, well, DMC. I bobinate the DMC threads, and I use like floss drops for like fancy floss. But so when I did my Jingle Ball new starts for the classes that I was taking, Festive Forest and the Up on the Rooftop Stockings. Festive Forest by the Blue Flower and the Up on the Rooftop Stockings by Lindy Stitches. So I think I had a combination of the Festive Forest was a combination of DMC and I think what do they call it? Color and Cotton. Is that right? Classic Colorworks, and a few Weeks Dye Works colors and Roxy Floss colors. And so I ordered the Roxy Floss because that's new to me, and some of the cotton threads. I don't know. Anyway, it's a combination of fancy flosses and DMC. So the fancy flosses, I ordered some of them. I think there's one I was going to use a DMC alternative because I couldn't find it anywhere and whatever. And I have, a lot of the DMC colors. But also, if I can't put my hands on the DMC color, and some of them I think are in storage with the projects they were in. I tried to pull all the threads out of those, but some of them I think I may not have. But anyway, so trying to put my hands on some of them, and I may have them and may not, or whatever. Or may have them handy. They may be in other projects, whatever. I don't know. So in some cases, I just went ahead and purchased new skeins of thread. And so in that bag where I had the two Jingle Ball patterns, I had one of those little metal rings with a whole bunch of extra bobbins, right? Blank, empty bobbins. And so I used, a couple of them for those projects. And for a long time, I had a little canvas tote bag, and I had the two Jingle Ball projects in that bag with a separate project bag and whatever. And but I had thrown that little ring with the bobbins in it, on it, in that tote bag. And then at some point, I guess after Jingle Ball, I pulled that ring of bobbins out of that bag because I thought, I don't need it anymore because I've got all the threads and I've got all the bobbins and whatever of those threads. Only I don't know what I did with it. Right? So when I bought all the threads for my two new starts, Our Favorite Elf and Dust of Snow, I went ahead and just bought all the threads for those because I thought, I don't want to go through all the hassle of looking for all those bobbins. And so I don't know what I did with those bobbins. I pulled them out of that tote bag, and I don't know where I put them. And I thought, what's making me crazy is that I know that they are somewhere like in my room because, there's only so many like tote bag kind of things where they could be. And, I thought, well, are they in I have some fabric in a drawer. Are they in there? No. I have another drawer that's basically a junk drawer. It has a whole bunch of random stuff in there. Are they in there? Not that I can tell. And I thought, well, why would I have put them in there? And so, I thought of all the places I could have put them. And I thought, they're not there. They're not there. They're not there. So it's a mystery. But I'm like, it has to be the ring of bobbins. It has to be somewhere in my room because that's the only place they could be. I had pulled them out of the thing and put them somewhere. And so I looked through all my different tote bags. Like I have, I have that big Zeke's bag that I showed a few weeks ago, that I got, my sister and I each got a bag when we ordered like a to-go order at this pizza place, and they brought it to us, you know, the pizza box. It was just a little individual serving box, whatever, but they brought it in this big Zeke's bag. So the Zeke's bag was great because I had all my 2025 projects in that bag, right? And then in my little bag that I have like by my bed, I have just the current ones I'm working on right now, right? So I looked in that one, and they're not there. I looked in the Zeke's bag, and I can't put my hands on it. It's not in there that I could tell. And then I have like a kind of a bin that had, you know, extra stuff in it, and as far as I can tell, it's not in there. And so I looked here, I looked there, you know, I'd like, every day I'm like, well, maybe it's in here, and I looked in there, no. Maybe it's in here, and I looked at, you know, I can't find it. And so last night, when I was working on something, I ran across some extra bobbins. I thought, oh, like 3 little extra bobbins. I'm like, good, need those. And then just now, my sister Eve, I was talking about it. I can't find it. So she said, here, I don't want you to stop whining about it. Here's a thread, some bobbins. But, you know, it's funny because, like, once upon a time, I don't even know how many years ago, I went through a phase where I was so, like, neurotic about bobbinating, and I guess it was before I knew anything about fancy floss. So as far as I knew, you know, I would only ever be stitching with DMC. I think I had heard of Krynick. I mean, I had seen Krynick on some charts and stuff like that. But for the most part, everything I'd seen was DMC listings, and then some Krynick on some of the charts and stuff like that. And so at one point, most of my bobbinated threads are just, you know, off the skein. I, you know, wind them on there, and but I went through a sort of a phase where I took a skein, and I don't know if I have any of them here, but what I did was I took the let me get a thread here, the skein, unbobbinated thread here. But so I took, and I took the whole skein, and I separated the individual threads, and I wound one thread on the bobbin, and then I wound another thread, and it was the whole length of the skein. It wasn't like, you know, short, like this is from the kit, and so it's a specific length, you know, of thread off of that they provided in the kit. But it wasn't that. The way I did it was I took the whole, however many yards of a skein of DMC is, and I took that whole thing out, and I separated the individual threads. I don't know, it must have been a big mess. But so I pulled one thread out, and I wound it on the bobbin, and I pulled another thread out, and I wound the whole length on the bobbin. And so those bobbins, I could tell, you know, they're single thread length. So that means I have to, like, I do a loop start. So, you know, I have to take the length and then put it in, you know, double it and use it. But so I can tell, like, there's a certain set of bobbins where I took the whole length of DMC skein, I took it apart and wound each one individually, each thread individually on that bobbin. But I'm not like that anymore. I stick the, you know, I will, like, put the whole skein on the bobbin, but all 6 threads at once, right? And then I just, like, pull the length off, you know, and separate that individually and then do whatever. But anyway, but I like I said, I'd like to find my set of bobbins. I was just thinking, the other day that, I might need more bobbins just, randomly. And I kind of do, because like I said, I bought new skeins just because I didn't want to have to go hunting around. But now that I did that, I can't find my bobbins. Anyway, so like I said, my sister, threw these at me. She goes, if you find your other set, give those back to me. If I find my lost set of bobbins. Anyway, so hopefully I'll find those bobbins. And somebody had talked about how, like, these are the plastic ones that are new now. They're plastic, pre-cut, and the only problem I have with them is it just depends on the bobbins, because I don't know if it's who made them, how, when they were made or whatever. Because I have some where the little slit that you anchor the thread in, like, like this, this slot on some of them is so wide that the thread, as you put it in there, the thread doesn't stay in the slot, right? It's wide enough that the thread just like, comes out. So like I have my box of shame, where I have taken bobbins out of projects and just thrown them in this box. And so the thread like will come out, and so the bobbin tries to unwind itself. Some of them are like this one, where the slit is narrow enough that the thread basically stays in place. And then I have some where the slit here was like too tight, and it's like not quite I guess the mold, whatever, it's not quite separated, and so I had to like kind of separate it or whatever. But then other people like the cardboard ones. And I guess there's some cardboard ones by DMC and some cardboard ones by other random, manufacturers or whatever. And somebody had said something about the cardboard ones are like made of a flimsier cardboard now or whatever. But they like them better because like you can, write on them with Sharpie or pen or whatever. And the cardboard ones, it doesn't rub off or whatever. And the plastic ones, they have a tendency to even if you use like a Sharpie pen, they have a tendency to rub off or whatever. And I have some that the plastic, where they are on plastic like this, and the numbers, like, on one side have rubbed off or whatever. They have those little sticky self-stick labels, but sometimes they will come off. They won't stick to the plastic, and they'll come off, and and so some people are saying, they like take a piece of tape and they tape it on there, and so I haven't had too much of a problem. Most of them, I use like a Sharpie extra fine point, the little razor point kind of Sharpie, and so I use that to mark both sides, of the thing. Or if I'm really lazy, I'll just stick the DMC label underneath and wind it around, So, I kind of don't like to do that because I don't want to accidentally like lose the label and then have like an unlabeled, skein of yarn, of thread there, and have to guess what color that is. Yeah, So, like I said, I do like to bobinate threads. The little kinks that you can get in a thread that's been bobinated for a long time. The kinks don't bother me because once you stitch with them, you really can't tell that it was ever kinked because you're making little X's, and so the kinks don't really show. When you pull the thread off the bobbin, yeah, it's kinked a little bit, but it's creased where it was folded on the bobbin or whatever. It was wound around the bobbin, so it may have creases in the thread, but like I said, when you stitch with it, it doesn't really matter, because like for instance, all of this stitching, this is like a DMC color, and this was wrapped on the bobbin, and I don't know if it was kinked or not, because you can't tell. From looking at it, you can't tell. The one thing you can tell on this is right here, is dye lot, because I had a bobbin of this color. It's, I think, 3779 or something, one of those dark colors, and you could tell where I had the two different skeins, and because one I was older, and I think it may have been from a kit, I don't even know, but I got this other, so I used it until I got to the end of that bobbin. I had used up all that thread, and then I got the other one, and you can kind of tell the difference, but in the long run, I don't think it'll matter. But yeah, so I did have that problem with another project that I had, where you could really see the difference between the older thread and the newer thread, and so I ended up doing half stitches of the darker thing over the other thread, so that it would look a little more consistent. But I think with that Raccoon, in that seeing the darker part in the long run, I don't think it'll make as much difference. But anyway, so that's my bobbin dilemma for now. And the only thing I can think of is that, did the cats knock it under the bed somewhere? And I can't, because under the bed is my black hole of Calcutta that I have to take a broom and really reach under there to see if it's under there. But I'm hoping that it's somewhere. I just haven't been able to put my hands on it. Anyway, that's my bobbin mystery for this week. So I hope to work some more on this owl trio and finish it in the next couple of days. Excuse me. Finish it in the next couple of days, and do some more work on my other. Call for this month, as well as going to my sister's to dye fabric. I hope that'll work out, and we'll see from there. So I think that is all I have for this week, and I will see you next week. Hopefully we'll have some more progress. Hopefully I will have finished the owl trio, and got started on my other WIPGO calls for this month. So until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. All right, thanks. Bye.